Hey guys, welcome to the Touchdown Table. I'm Ryan. That's Tyler. That's Jordan.
So, in this video, as you can see, we will talk about the Bears offense and how bad it is. We have two Bears fans with us today. Only one at the table. As you can see, I'm the only one at the table. I promise you, we will get to the video, talk about football in a second, but we just do need to brief you on what's going on and why I'm the only one sitting at this table today. So, we found out that Jordan has contracted the virus. By that, you all know what I mean. So he's upstairs, far away, quarantining. I have sprayed this entire studio down, and we're keeping Ryan away from us for safety precautions. So we figured we got to keep one of us at the table. I already got tested. I haven't got the results back yet, but I'm down here, and they're both on the TV behind me. So I'll make it easier for you guys to see them if it works. There we go. Okay, so if you guys ready to get started?
I'll just start off by a quick filler, then we'll actually get to the video. First of all, if any of you guys are concerned, I am perfectly fine. The past 3 days, I've kind of felt really sick with a headache and runny nose and a little bit of fever too. So, and today I feel a lot better, just runny nose at this point. So if my voice sounds different, that's why. But I'm feeling fine, so all of you really care. Thank you guys. Thank you for staying with us through this weird time. And we love football so much. We love you guys so much. We're not about to stop putting out content now. So we do what we got to do, and it should be fun. Also, look at my great background back here. I have a fantasy football trophy right here to put that right where you guys can see it, although I'm not doing too great this year, but I'm not going to talk about that.
It's only going to be there for a few more weeks.
Yes, it will.
It's not just because I'm doing bad. It's because you guys probably don't want to hear me talk about it.
Yeah.
So, it's something you probably don't want me here to talk about either as the Bears, but I'm going to have to talk about it anyways. As you can see, Bears fan got that. There's Khalil Mack. There's Trubisky. We might actually end up talking about it in this video.
Yeah, we might, and no one's gonna stop us from making videos, but everyone can stop the Bears' offense because it's terrible. I mean, we could talk about the Bears' defense as well; it's very good, but this video is focused on how bad the offense has been, and you start to wonder what it is because a lot of people thought it was Mitch Trubisky in 2019. That was the problem. Then he wasn't even there. Then it was the quarterback, or no, sorry, the head coach. Now the offensive line is in question. There's a lot of drops from the receivers. The personnel isn't terrible, so I'm going to start with Jordan since you're a fellow Bears fan. What do you think the main problem on this offense is?
What do I think the main problem on this offense
is? Yes.
Is there a specific answer to that question I can give you? Because honestly, that's really tough. There's a lot of problems on this offense. I think the main one that you could look at that causes the most problems, at least has this year, and even towards the end of last year, really all of last year actually, is the offensive line. I mean, they could just not get things going. I think obviously David Montgomery was injured for that Monday night game, but I think he's a good running back. He just can't get any blocks. He can't get any holes to run up. I don't care who it is, if it's Derrick Henry back there or if it's David Montgomery. If you can't block for him, he's not going to do anything. I think that's been really tough. Taking out the whole run game has been something that's been really bad for this Bears offense. It's not just the run game. It's not just the run blocking. It's also the pass blocking. At the beginning of the season when Trubisky was playing, he's more a mobile guy who can move around more. But when Nick Foles stepped in, that dude's a literal statue. He does not move at all. And when he has no line that can block for him, they just come in and they swarm him, and there's nothing they can do about it. He can't scramble his way out of there. He's just got to take sacks after sacks, and throw away after throw away, and it just does not help your team. There are plenty of problems with this Bears offense, but I think all of them come down to their offensive line.
Yeah, that is what it boils down to. I mean, they got Cody Whitehair back, their center, against the Vikings on Monday night. That was a big help. There's been injuries, but I mean, you're not going to get the job done with guys like Spriggs and those guys. Lano has kind of gone down a little bit. He had a good game on Monday as well, but the penalties for him have been a huge problem on the line. And like you said, Jordan, I think David Montgomery is a capable running back, but you can't get yards if no yards are given to you by your offensive line. You look at the best running backs in the league, like Alvin Kamara and Dalvin Cook, for example, both have good offensive lines. So,
at least decent offensive line.
Yes, at least. But both of them I would say are good. The Saints are probably a top 5 offensive line in the league, and the Vikings are right around that. Ryan, I want to hear what you think about it.
Well, I think that you've been making some great points, both of you, about the offensive line, because I do think quarterback play plays a part of it. And I think that, even though I'm not a Bears fan, I still, obviously, live with Bears fans. I'm around you guys a lot. I hear the radio a lot.
Well, not right now.
Familiar with what yeah, of course not, in person right now, but in normal
Yeah,
times,
yeah,
and hopefully in a few weeks we'll be back to normal. But just being around Bears fans, I get the sense that no matter what quarterback you guys put in, after 3 games of that guy, they're going to want the other guy. I mean, I just don't think that this constant switching off is going to work. I mean, I think at least for this year, you have to accept the fact that you have two mediocre quarterbacks that just aren't all that good. They're low end starters at best. So I think you just roll with one, get some consistency. I mean, will they go back to Mitch? Who knows? But I do also think that regardless of the quarterback play, the offensive line is not good, and because the offensive line is not good, the running game can't really develop. And when the running game can't develop, and you have two low end starters competing for your QB starting job, it just doesn't really bode well. I mean, you have one elite player on that offense, and that's Allen Robinson, and he's great. But I mean, they have okay depth at the receiver position, but I just think it boils down to the offensive line. The inconsistent quarterback play where you have two low end starters, but not one true guy where you look at and say, that's my guy. So, I mean, I don't know what they're going to do. Will they go back to Mitch? How healthy is Nick Foles? We'll have to see. But I think there's blame to go around. I think there's offensive line. And there is the lack of the running game as well, but how much is that the running back's fault? How much is that the offensive line's fault? That's more of a question for a coach because you got to watch the tape. But, yeah, there is a lot of problems, and it's really such a shame because that defense is ready to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, and I want to stick with the quarterback real quick. You were talking about Mitchell Trubisky and Nick Foles, and you said how they're both mediocre quarterbacks. So Bears fans kind of have to accept that they're not that good. There's not really going to be a standout one. I think Bears fans have accepted it. They're just trying to choose which one of these mediocre, low-end quarterbacks right now is going to help our team the most. And in my opinion, from what I've seen, that's going to be Mitchell Trubisky going on in the future. If you watched their channel for a while, you knew that I was a Mitchell Trubisky guy coming into the season. There's not many of them left in Chicago, but I was one of them who still had his back. I saw the memes. I knew he's made some bad throws. And when he does something bad, I'll be the first one to point it out to you. But I still thought that he was the best option for this team. I did not hate Nick Foles. I just did not think that he would have as much success as Mitchell Trubisky in this offense. And from what we've seen this year, I think that's true. With Nick Foles coming in his first game against the Falcons at the second half, and then Mitchell Trubisky, that's when he played his best. After that, the Colts game I think was next. That was an absolute dud. After that, really, all those games after the Colts game too, nothing was getting going for him. As I talked about earlier, if your offensive line can't block, which Bears fans, we can't bank on this line blocking, so we've got to get somebody back there who's going to move, that knows how to move around the pocket, make some plays happen with his feet. That guy is not Nick Foles, and I don't know what kind of offense that Matt Nagy wants to run. It seems like it's not working under either of these two guys, and they obviously turned over the play calling on Monday night. Didn't work enough because that offense still looked pretty trash, especially in that second half. But I feel like it's more beneficial for our team if we have a guy in the backfield, but playing the quarterback position that is able to use his legs, able to run away from guys. And if you can't throw the ball down the field, then just run. I mean, there's at least 2 or 3 times a game where you're watching Nick Foles and you're like, oh my gosh, dude, there's like 10 yards in front of you. You're just standing there when you can run. You get at least 5-10 yards on this play. It's just really frustrating if Trubisky's in there. You get that play. And for Bears fans, the first down is a win because we don't get many of those. So I think he'd help us get a lot of first downs. And the red zone is always going to be a problem with the Bears, no matter who's at quarterback. But moving down the field and moving down the stretch of the season, I think Trubisky is a better option.
yeah. I mean, as a Bears fan as well, Jordan. I mean, I got to agree with you. I think, like Ryan said earlier, it's picking the better of two not very great quarterbacks. But for the last 4 years, I've had hopes that Trubisky was going to be the guy. At this point, it doesn't seem like it can be, but there's still time for him. He might get another chance, and this is a valid conversation to have now because we saw Nick Foles hurt. What was it, his back? I think it was his.
I don't know. I don't know what the severity of it is. We haven't heard that.
Yeah, Matt Nagy said it was day to day. So coming off the bye week, in a little bit, we're going to see how this Bears offense reacts to it, who they put in a quarterback. But it's a good conversation to have because whoever they pick could be the quarterback going on for the rest of the year. And Jordan made some good points, and I don't want to reiterate it too much, but I got to agree with him on Mitch. I don't think he's going to be great. I just think he has more potential to be good than Nick Foles has. And I know we've seen Nick Foles win a Super Bowl, and that can happen with him, but we haven't seen it anywhere else really than Philadelphia, so I don't know if I can trust it. Can't really trust either of them, to be honest.
Something with Nick Foles, too, is that we see him throughout his career. He's had his stretches of the game, and maybe he's had his halves of some good plays, but really he has not been. He's never played a full season for starter. I think it was 11 games as most he's played in the season throughout his whole long career, and he just hasn't been too consistent. He'll have some good games, he'll have some good halves, he'll have some good quarters, but at the end of the day, he needs to have more consistency throughout the game. He just cannot get that done. You saw in the Falcons game that looked good. Maybe you saw in some other games where he had a good fourth quarter or something like that. But there's going to be no consistency with the quarterback position. But the thing is that talking about Nick Foles and his Super Bowl run with the Eagles, I think he was on a hot stretch then. And you saw it going to Jacksonville after that. He was a highly sought after guy, kind of. And people expected him to be really good, or at least somewhat good after he just won a Super Bowl with the Eagles, and he went there and he played, and he did not play that well. Then he got injured, and then he came back, and he still didn't play that well. And I think they put Minshew back in, so you saw it. Yeah, he definitely declined. The consistency is really not there, especially as he gets older and older. Look, I like to do as a person. I just think the better thing for our team, being a Bears fan, is to put Trubisky back there. Whoever they pick after the bye week, I want to stay in there. Ryan talked about consistency at the quarterback position. If it's Foles, you know what? I don't like the decision, but stick with it. If it's Trubisky, I like it. Let's roll.
Yeah, that's really what it comes down to for me. And when you look at it, if they do go with Mitch, I mean, this is it. This is his last chance to somewhat salvage his career because he's on a contract year. They're not going to pick up his option. They're probably not going to bring him back at all unless he, somehow, just goes on a tear and leads this team to the playoffs. So, I mean, this is his last chance, or else he's going to be a career backup. So, I mean, he's got everything to play for, not just because his team is in a playoff hunt, just because, for his career. But for Foles, I think it's, trying to prove, can you be a starting quarterback consistently, or are you just a guy that has these, magical 4-game stretches or this, one crazy game or, little playoff run? Can you put together a 16-game season? Can you lead a team from day one? That's the question for Foles. For Trubisky, it's like I said, this is your last chance to, not be a career backup and actually, be somewhat close to what you were drafted for.
As Bears fans, as Chicago fans, we've heard of The Last Dance with Michael Jordan, but this is the last chance for Trubisky.
There you go.
Ryan, I think that if after this year he doesn't stay with the Bears, I think there's a shot he'll get another job, maybe as a starter. But yeah, he definitely has a lot to play for. I've heard rumors that he does not want to play just so he doesn't go out there and play bad. So other teams. Wow. I don't think that's true. That's my dad.
He seems like he has confidence. He seems like he has confidence in himself. I mean, at times it doesn't look like he does, but I don't know why a competitor like him would not want to go out there. I don't believe that for a second.
I don't believe it either. Yeah. Just saying statement.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that is interesting, though.
Yeah. And something else I want to talk about with this Bears team is we talked about the offensive line, we talked about the quarterback, we talked about the running back a little bit. David Montgomery, Drew Cohen obviously went down earlier this year, and they picked up Lamar Miller, who really hasn't gotten much playing time, and Cordero Patterson also stepping in as well with Ryan Nall or Travius Pierce, I think his name is, getting in there. But I want to talk about the wide receivers, and Ryan talked about it for a second. He talked about Allen Robinson. I think Allen Robinson is quite possibly a top 10 wide receiver in this league, maybe even higher. He just does not get his chances. He's made some phenomenal catches this year. I think he's a great runner. He's got a route runner. He's got some good speed. And I just really think that he's good. He just has not had a good quarterback to play with. You go back to Jacksonville, he had Blake Bortles. And then now coming to Chicago, he's got Nick Foles and Mitchell Trubisky. It's not been nice for him. But there's not only Allen Robinson in this wide receiver group, there's also the rookie Darnell Mooney, who I and most people around the Bears, and really anyone who watches him, they really like him. I think he's a phenomenal player coming out of Tulane. He's got great speed, great hands. I love what I've seen from him so far as a Bears fan. Thank God we might have hit on a draft pick for once. So I really like him. Anthony Miller, he's a young guy out of Memphis. He has his drops in there somewhere, but he can do all right things. And I think our wide receiving group, if we put them on another team, I think they would have success. But the fact that they're on this team with the quarterbacks and with this offensive line, they don't look as good. And specifically, Allen Robinson does not look as good because he's got these guys to play with. Tyler, what do you think about that?
I agree with you on the Allen Robinson thing. I mean, you look at Allen Robinson's stats, or if he's on your fantasy team, his fantasy points, they're not great. But if you watch the Bears games, every time the ball comes his way, he seems like he's making a great play on the ball. I mean, I watch games and I say throw the ball to Allen Robinson, throw it up to him because he can make a play so many times if he needs to. But they just don't give him enough chances to do so, and that makes me pretty angry about it. But I think he's definitely an underrated player, like Jordan said.
Yeah, I agree. And, even, I'm not a Bears fan, but I do think that Allen Robinson is a top 10 talent. And I think that would be a much more popular belief if he was, playing with better quarterbacks. Like, not to say that a receiver can be or cannot be good with a, less than good quarterback, but I think that, what he's been able to do with the quarterbacks that he's played with throughout his career is certainly top 10 worthy right now, in my belief.
All right, and then last thing I want to mention here is the coaching, specifically just talking about Matt Nagy in general, because he's kind of been the offensive coordinator. They switched to Bill Lazor, as Jordan mentioned early on. It seemed like the offense got worse. So, I mean, I think it was Brian Greasy who was talking on Monday night saying, like, it's pretty simple stuff here. The Bears aren't calling the right plays when they need to. He's saying how the wide receivers are all so close in on 3rd and 10. The defense can easily hide their coverage, and they did. So so they got to figure that out as well. Everywhere it seems like this offense is destined to fail. The line is bad. The quarterback play hasn't been good. Can't get the running game going. Some drops from receivers. Bad play calling. It's just been ugly throughout.
Yeah, and when Matt Nagy came in here from Kansas City as the offensive coordinator, people thought that he was going to be really good. Well, first of all, he was really good his first year because he won Coach of the Year, but he thought he was an offensive guru. He knew a lot about everything offensively. I still think he does, but now looking back, there are questions of how much he was calling that offense. Was it Andy Reid giving a lot of calls in? Was it him actually making the calls? We don't know that for sure. We're not insiders with the Kansas City Chiefs.
According to my sources,
with the Bears coming here, he wanted to establish his offense. The first year that he played, as I mentioned, they looked good. They went to the playoffs. Their team was phenomenal, of course, led by that defense, but their offense did enough to sustain them. And even in that double game against the Eagles, led them down the field into field goal range. And so that was sufficient enough. It shows you how sufficient that offense was, at least to move that team forward. But now this offense has, in the last 2 years, taken a step down. I think Matt Nagy's offense, just for some reason, is not working for the quarterback that he has and the personnel that he has.
Yeah, it just hasn't flowed well. I mean, you'd think it should work. You saw the great season they had Nagy's first year, going, I think, 12-4, getting the 3 seed. Didn't win a playoff game, but still, what they were able to accomplish, the offense wasn't elite, but they were able to complete drives. They were able to get first downs. They were able to have some timely scores. So regression between then and now is interesting because that really wasn't that long ago in the grand scheme of things. So we'll see if they can ever get back to that, type of play. But, only time will tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So I think we've hit on mostly everything we wanted to talk about. There's so many problems with this offense. We could talk all day about it, but we're not going to do that. We're going to wrap this up here. All right. What was that?
I was just doing an impression.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. Anyway, thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell. Comment your opinions about this Bears offense down below. I'm sure they're not good opinions because, your opinions are probably correct, but just not polite to the Bears offense because there's not much polite things to say. Like I said, subscribe. Thanks for bearing with us in this one. Hold on, this will be interesting to see if you guys can match up your waves to when I say see ya. But this is a complete experiment here, so thanks for bearing with us in this virtual touchdown table. And with that, we will see you guys later.
See ya.